Preston. You know, over the weekend, I had the opportunity to attend a wonderful event, which was the September 11th fundraiser that they held at the Tavern 1301. It was a great event. We had great turnout, and they gave me the opportunity to speak and do a little bit of a welcoming. One of the things that I mentioned in my comments was that it was an honor not just to be there representing as the mayor, but it was an honor to be there representing a community that had so much patriotism and that supported and worked on this big project of September 11th. The whole campaign and the project itself, they've done such a wonderful job of that. The committees at Doug Harbor, to have them as part of our community is just huge. And I can't thank them enough for all the work they've done through the years to help build this up and make it to a event and an actual organization as large and as meaningful as it is. So I thank them for that. I'm glad they had a wonderful turnout. I'm glad they had a wonderful result in their fundraising campaign, and I wish them the best this year. But aside from that, it was a great event for not only our community, we even had my counterpart from La Junta. I got to sit with Joe Ayala, the mayor from La Junta, so I thank him and his wife for coming to Lamar and attending this event and spending time with us as well. So thank you. It was a great event, and we'll move on from there. With that said, we do have our invocation with Jeff Alexander, so we'll start the meeting off.
Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to gather again this evening to take care of the business of our city and our community. Lord, thank you for our mayor. Thank you for each of the city council members and for those who work in the administrative offices of our city. And Lord, we're asking for grace. We're asking for mercy. We're asking for wisdom and direction for them. We pray for our police men and our fire protection, our streets, and all of the areas that are involved with the city and the community, the parks, and so forth. We just ask for grace tonight and your blessing upon this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Councilman Mata, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the time is now 7:01 p.m. I will call the meeting order. Roll call.
Joe Gonzalez. Shayla Mata.
Here.
Jerry Jenkins.
Here.
Kurt Crespin.
Here.
David Zavala.
Here.
Manuel Temez.
Here.
Brett Bates.
Here.
Rob Evans.
Here.
Kristen Swartz.
Here.
Lance Clark.
Here. Okay, Councilman Gonzalez had texted me saying that he had some issues that came up and he will not be able to make it tonight. So hopefully everything goes smooth for him. Next item on the agenda is to review the agenda. I did not see any changes to the agenda itself. Did anyone have any modifications they wanted to submit? No. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda, I did have one item that I would like to have us vote on separately. So if we can get a motion to approve the consent agenda with the separation of the Lamar Utility Board's minutes for February 27th. In the board packet the council packet that was sent out to everybody, they had submitted the wrong date for the minutes. So we are just modifying to the correct date of February the 27th minutes. And then we will vote on that as a separate item. So if we can get a motion with those items, that item separated out, and then afterwards we'll do a motion to approve just the utility board minutes by itself. Council?
I move to approve the consent agenda with the amendment to remove utility board minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the removal of the Lamar Utility Board minutes for February 27th. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of.
Okay, now we'll just need to get a motion to vote on the utility board meeting minutes for the February 27th, and we'll vote on that manually, not on your remote. We have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve the February 27th from our utility board meeting minutes. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Now we come to the public comment portion. This is the audience participation portion. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and that is at the discretion of the council. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to the city council on an item? Seeing none, we will move on and proceed to our reports and correspondence. We'll start off with our city treasurer's report. Kristen?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I wanted to report on a couple of grants. I know most of council probably knows this, but we've been working on the Recreation Master Plan grant with GOCO. Rob and Tess and Anthony participated in the final round of interviews with the GOCO board, and we were awarded our funding to proceed with the Recreation Master Plan. We received a grant for $155,000 towards hiring a consultant to help us with that master plan. So we're really excited about that to get it going. So we'll be waiting for the contract and the notice to proceed and everything on that before we can get started. So, and then we'll go out for bid for a consultant. We also got news this last week that we were officially awarded $1.8 million from the Congressional Directed Spending Grant. Mayor Crespin and Rob have worked on that quite a bit, and Pat and I and Tess. So we were awarded the 1.8. That will be used towards the wastewater treatment plant to get us started with the engineering, design, and all of the environmental work that has to be done before we can proceed with that project. So we're really excited about that too. That was a long haul. So we're just waiting on, there'll be a contract with that as well. So we're just waiting on that so we can proceed as soon as the funding is allocated. They're going to send us out the, kind of the requirements and the next steps with that. So we're just waiting patiently for that as it goes through the rest of the procedures with the government. I wanted to report that our on-site audit starts on April 1 and goes through April 10. The auditor will be here on site auditing, so my staff is getting geared up, if I can get them all healthy, to get that audit done. So it's a pretty intense few days for our department. So we're getting ready for that. That was all I have for this evening. We have a few things on the agenda as far as grants go that you'll be voting on this evening. So if there are any questions, I would answer any questions.
The only thing I'd like to add is on that congressionally directed spending. It's $1.8 million. That's a great benefit for our city, but I know that's just a scratch on the surface of what the whole total project's going to be. So, and Kristen's been working diligently with our engineer and with groups trying to find other funding sources. But the reason why I was bringing it up is because I wanted to point out that every grant that we can receive that's going to help lower that actual investment of, I believe it's around 35 million. Every grant that we can receive in here will lower the cost and it'll prevent us from having to raise our wastewater fees any higher than necessary. There are going to be some additional expenses for our public, but we're really trying our best to find sources for funding so that we don't have to put that burden onto our community members. So thank you for your efforts on that,
You're
because
welcome.
that's huge for our community and they need to know that.
You're welcome, and I could expand on that a little bit. We had a meeting today, actually, with the engineer, Rob, and Pat, and I, and Tess. We're going to make application to DOLA. We've met with them a few weeks back, and Tara was very excited about our project. So we're going to, our plan is we're going to apply for, we're getting the amount down, but what we should, we'll be able to match it with the CDS funding and get the entire amount we need for the engineering piece of this. So It'll bring the total up for that to almost 2.5 million. And one grant can match the other. So it'll be so we make application before April 1 on that piece of it. So
Okay.
we're excited about that too. We're working hard this week on that.
Okay,
So thank you. And that was all I had.
all right. So the next item on the agenda is the city clerk's report. I need to step out just for 1 second, but go ahead.
I have no report for this evening unless there's any questions from council.
Had to grab my glasses. Couldn't see without them. Okay, next item on the agenda would be our city administrator's report. Rob?
All right.
And thank you for my wife for bringing it.
So every meeting, we tell you that the CMO conference is getting closer and closer. June 18th to 21st in Loveland this year. We have the Southeast Colorado Senior All-Star Games, Saturday, March 30th at the Lamar Community Building. Coffee with Rob this week will be at Brew and Others, and wanted to make a note that if I ever have one of these days where we show up and like one of the announced locations for some reason can't be open that day, there's always a fallback. I will then go to Hickory House and have coffee. So you can always have coffee, and I know some people plan on it. So I get to see some of my regulars there. Don't worry, I'll still get you coffee. All right. Some projects that we wanted to talk about. I know that as Anthony's not here, we have updated our dog park location. Just wanted you to know it's nearly at the exact same places. We have the equipment. And if it were days like this, we could put something in the ground, but we weren't gonna, I mean, I'm not saying it's starting tomorrow, but it's very soon that you'll see at least something up there to see. So we'll have some visual soon on a dog park.
Okay.
I believe, let's see, for Public Works, we passed our inspection for our let me see, our annual inspection for our sanitation out at the, no faults, no, so usually if they have something, they tell us to correct it, but we had no faults this year, so it's a perfect inspection, so good job, Pat and the guys out there.
Yeah, great job.
Let me see, the police, one of our Durangos has been upgraded and out on the road. It's actually working, one of their new trucks. We got working on the other two. If you guys have noticed that we have another speed sign, warning sign out there on Oak Street. So on the 300 block of Oak Street, so slow down. Everybody sees that, slow down.
And that was part of the discussion we had on how to address different areas in this community.
That's right.
Speeding.
And there are more to come, so don't think that you're safe if you're anywhere else in town. We'll see you. All right, the fire department, T-shirts are on sale. And I think they're $25, and at least $5 goes to our Valley-wide mental health. So support our facilities and our fire department at the same time. Is that right, Jeremy? We good? The library, the Easter Bunny and his egg helper is going to be at the library for Easter on Friday at 10 a.m. So they're going to come out there and help the little ones with some eggs and meet the Easter Bunny.
And when is the Parks and Rec?
Is it Saturday? It's Saturday morning.
Usually at 10 o'clock.
Is it at 10 o'clock as well? I think so. 9, okay, sorry. It's at 9 o'clock. Make sure they're there on
So this is
time.
the community Easter egg
Your
hunt.
community Easter egg hunt will be this Saturday. All right, so that's some projects down. If you guys have any other questions on some of the projects that are ongoing right now, I'd be happy to give you some answers or at least get on finding the information for you.
So I do have a question. I know we had some CDOT information that came in over the last couple of weeks. Kristen's been working with CDOT on our sidewalk grants that we received for the TAP grants. Now, do they have a schedule or a planned schedule on when they're going to start working on those or not yet?
We can't do that until we get that IGA that we just received this week, and we got it too late to get in the packet this time, so it's being reviewed.
Okay.
And then we'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay,
And so once we get that out of the way, we should be able to then get a notice. We have to wait for a notice to proceed from CDOT. They have kind of pretty strict rules on that. And then
Right.
we can go out for bid for a contractor on that
okay.
and get that started. And we're coordinating that with the grant we were already awarded through the Revitalizing Main Street. So we're coordinating the schedules on that so that we can time that together, so we can get all of that finished at once. And that'd be the west side of,
The west side of
Main
Main
Street.
Street. I guess the other question was the Savage Avenue, 8th Street, weren't there some improvements there as well?
right,
on
that, yep,
part of
that
it.
includes,
And that'll be
yep.
part of that in the same.
That's all the same
project,
grant. Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm asking because I had a few of the community members in that area that were anticipating and eagerly waiting to find out when that was going to happen.
So we'll work with, as soon as we have a schedule, maybe Rob can get that out.
That would be
great.
We
I
just
will.
kind of had to time the funding and what we could get done and use that other grant, and so we were working on that, but yeah, that does include.
It's spread out over
Savage.
3 years, and
It's
they
a-
have a certain amount of monies available, so we want to make sure we spend all that we can for each year.
Okay, thank you.
There's one other thing, sorry. Let's see, Emery, would you, would you like to say anything about our comprehensive plan? Maybe a couple sentences? One of you guys can come up. This is our big, focus for the city for the next year and a half, and I just wanted to make sure you guys get every update that we have.
So we had the outreach on March 5th through 7th, multiple meetings with stakeholder groups, meeting with council at Common Grounds, multiple types of meetings, both very broad and very specific. Definitely our best opportunity was we were able to speak with parents and families at parent-teacher conferences at the 3 elementary schools and the middle school, thanks to Dr. Krug for helping set that up. Our next plan is, themes are evolving. We are coming together with ideas that how residents really agree are priorities. So we'll be refining those, and that will include an online survey that we're going to send out. We're going to send out a flyer in the utility bills. So when you get your utility bill, look for the online flyer in English or Spanish that allows you to log in and give additional input on drilling into those priorities. We have a meeting tomorrow night with the Crossroads Pathfinder Steering Committee. They're really great at helping with that, and we're just rolling through our priorities to get this completed by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. All right, council, do you have any questions for the city administrator before we move on? Okay. All right, Rob, you're off the hook.
All right.
Next item is our reports and correspondence from the council. Shayla, you're still somewhat new, but this is the time where you can bring up or discuss any of the items that you have on your committees, any updates from your committees, as well as any questions or items that you'd like to talk about from your ward. So, do you have anything for this meeting?
I do not have anything at this time.
Okay. Jerry, did you have something, or do you want me to come back to you?
If you can come back to me.
Okay, David?
No, not at this moment.
Ben?
At our last meeting, we got some information on the city's well fields, and we are trending up in comparison to last year. Our wells are carrying more water than they have in 2023, which is a positive. The snowpack, we didn't have an accurate, but it's probably between the 80% or up as far as snowpack. One of the other things that was discussed was removal of lead and galvanized lines in water, and so they're going to be doing testing. Is that all summer into the fall?
Yes, and we got money help or grant for that, so they will be, yes, we did.
Okay. So that will be happening, so if there's anything looks like it's being done into, your yard or something, I'm sure they will definitely give information before they go and try to do that. But just know that the city will be looking at trying to replace if there's any residual lead line, water supply lines.
Okay. Anything else?
PEP had their annual meeting last week. Do you mind speaking on that a little bit since I couldn't make it, Tally? Just the awards and whatnot?
Yeah. So we had,
I didn't tell her I was gonna do this.
we had our Rising Star Award, and that was given to Tavern 1301. We had our Business Longevity Award, and that was given to Ryman's Grocery for 84 years in business. And then we had the Community Champion, and that was given to Dee Melgosa.
You're good.
Thank you, Tally.
Okay, thank you, Tally.
And then LPI had the strategic planning workshop with DOLA on Saturday that went really well to help guide them into the future. The monthly meeting was today that also went really well. We're looking forward to starting the process of the next 5-year mini grant and getting that done with Kristen's help. There's a item on the agenda that we'll be going over for that later, and that's all I have. Well,
Okay.
for LPI. Not for the grant, but for a current project.
Okay. All right, Jerry?
Yes, mine is not an update. Mine's more like if the community could keep our fireman, Jose Corral, in your prayers because he lost his mother on the 23rd. So just keep him in your prayers, and we all send our condolences to the Corral family.
Yes, indeed. Okay, thank you. And I don't have anything at this time, so we will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our new business. Under new business, we have a public hearing for a special event permit for the Lamar Chamber of Commerce to host a beer garden during the Cinco de Mayo event. Of course, as a public hearing, this changes the council into to a point where we just need to hear the public input for and against these events, and then need to make a decision at that point. So we'll try to make this quick and easy. But we do need to move into a public hearing. So council, do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to enter into the public hearing. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, we are now entering into the public hearing. We'll start off with the proof of publication with the city clerk.
It was published and posted on site on March 14th.
Okay, March 14th. So all publications were done properly. Do you have any other opening remarks, and the chief of police? We'll have you start, and then we'll go to the chief of police.
They submitted their application. Everything on their application was valid. This is the first special event permit of 2024 that they've applied for. And all their paperwork was in order.
Okay. Chief of police.
I do have one last thing, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
They have also provided all of their tip certification to both myself and the police department.
Okay. So they have all the tip certification for everybody.
Yes.
All right, chief, do you have any recommendations? Did you review this?
I did, and I did investigate into it, and I recommend it be approved.
Okay. All right, with that said, we will move on to city council comments. To start off with, this will give the council any opportunity to share their specific requests or concerns, so that when we open the floor to the public, the organization or anyone else can come up and address those questions and concerns. So do we have any questions specific to the topic? Brent?
None.
David?
I don't know.
Jerry?
No.
And Shayla?
No.
I have a
All
comment.
right.
I just want to say thank you for the very thorough paperwork and explanation you gave to us in the work session at last meeting. Answered a lot of our questions, and you guys did a great job of taking from the Oktoberfest what we wanted to see and presenting it for this.
So at this time, we'll open the floor, but before we open it to comments, I would like to have the organization, Lamar Chamber of Commerce representatives come up and give a little, I know that you're going to be in favor of it, of course, but if you can give a description of some of the events and allow some questions before we move on to anybody that's in favor or opposed. Could you please come up? If you just let us know what your plans are and some of the details, so that way we can be very thorough with that. Oh, yes, there is a flyer as well for the council, so.
Yes, so on that flyer, we kind of have, it's not set in stone yet, just a breakdown of events. We'll have the food trucks, kid games, performers. The event is held on Saturday, May 4th, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. We did kind of go a little more into detail that we will do last call at 7:30 p.m. and then kind of start wrapping things up earlier in the night, so it's still sunny out. It's not, hopefully not too dark.
So this will only last until 8 p.m. and you'll serve from 11 to 8, is that correct?
7:30.
7:30 in the morning to 8? Oh, to 7:30. I was asking about the starting time. You'll start at 11 serving alcohol and then it'll go until 7:30 for the last call.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And there's other things on there. So like activities for the kids, we're still working out the kinks as far as like having other businesses coming in. So like you'll see on there, like the making maracas, like securing a business to kind of do that activity for the kids at that thing. And then we'll work with that business to have a certain time, as well as like the possible face painting and stuff like that, piñata, bucket pulling. And we're going to work on trying to have those throughout the day and having those events kind of end at 4:00 in the evening so that it can kind of take that switch and like as far as like letting parents get their kids home if they're going to, and then having the rest of the festivities continue to 8:00.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions? Now, I know there was one area that we had talked about during the work session where you originally presented this to the council, and that was the fencing around the Enchanted Forest itself. You had talked about, and I know it's hard for the public to see it, but around the Enchanted Forest, one of the difficulties is making sure that it's secure. And your proposal was to use food vendors along the outside perimeter of the majority of the Enchanted Forest to help create a border or a boundary for those, for the event. How has your recruitment of vendors been? Have you received any already, or do you have anybody that's lined up?
Without looking at the last time I looked at the vendor form, as far as like food trailers and trucks go, we have, I think, 6 to 8 so far signed up, but we also think it's really going to ramp up within the next month, within the month between like April 1st and when the event happens. That's usually when I feel like a lot of the trailers and trucks really start filling out the registration forms. But we feel confident definitely having at least all of that Beach Street side filled with trucks and trailers.
Okay. All right, because that's a big part of it. I just wanted to make sure that you were moving forward with it.
And also, we did get security for the event.
Okay.
Is paid security, professional security, all the way around from 11 to 8.
And how many guards would be in that security?
6? 4. 4 of them.
Okay.
And there also, I believe at the work session, there was a question about proper exits and stuff like that. We did meet with Marcus Widener today, and tentatively they've approved it until they come and look at the actual fence the day of or the day before. Just having that discussion about using those zip ties on the fences and stuff so it's easily to break away for anybody if they need to go through that fence, but also staying secure so no one's trying to tamper with that during the event.
Okay. All right.
What's your piñata bucket compared to a piñata? I mean,
So, you know, like the buckets from Home Depot, those like 5-gallon buckets, you cut it into like sections, so there's only like a strip between one. You fill it with candy and then you wrap it with like a ribbon. So when you pull the ribbon, all the candy just goes flying out of the bucket.
so are they going to have the traditional piñatas too, or just the
No, in case a kid hits another
No
kid.
Yolanda pinatas?
Huh?
No Yolanda pinata?
No, I know, we should get one.
Okay. All right, council, do you have any other questions before we move on? We have all of our clarification. Rob, did you have any that you wanted to cover?
They answered the one that I had brought up about the fire exits and everything, so that was good.
Okay. All right. Any last words before we move in? Good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I'll open it up to anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this special event permit. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of? Seeing none, we'll open it up to anyone that would like to speak against the item. If you'll come up and just state your name for the record.
Good evening, I'm Galen Burnett, 800 South 6th Street here in Lamar, Colorado. What I'd like to share a little bit with you is out of Governing, which deals with some of the things that have been written about from our government point of view. This is out of the Denver Post. Alcohol deaths soared 60% in the 4 years since 2018. But our policy response has been subdued, and this is an opportunity for the Lamar City Council to respond with a better policy than what some others have done. Alcohol killed 1,547 residents last year. That's not very much fewer than the 1,799 who died from drug overdoses here in Colorado. The state has increased the penalties for fentanyl. We've seen, we've heard, and we're even starting to experience fentanyl in our area. But we've also seen that voters have expanded the access to alcohol into grocery stores in recent years. We have seen how they has made fentanyl a felony, but yet there hasn't much been done concerning alcohol. Alcohol-related deaths in Colorado spiked during the pandemic. We all remember what happened during the pandemic, all the toughness of that. Many times people went into alcohol usage to help them. The state ranks as one of the worst for deaths due to drinking. Deaths from alcohol in Colorado shot up more than 60% between 2018 and 2021. Alcohol fatalities are still 50% above previous pre-COVID levels. The alcohol has not gone down. Some people thought when the COVID was finished that the alcohol deaths would go down. They didn't. It is still coming up and it's still causing problems. We know with fentanyl that there's instant death. With alcohol, it takes longer. But we've discovered that the people who are drinking alcohol, especially those who pick up that during their teen years, they will usually die 20 to 30 years sooner than their contemporaries who did not get involved with alcohol. We know about the costs of fentanyl, but we need to remember that there are costs that we may not be seeing as fast and as in value we see as it hurts the families, the work, and so forth there. Representative Mark Snyder says we kind of forget about alcohol. This is an opportunity for the Lamar City Council to make a statement, to be showing that they are concerned as the governors of our city, the governing council of our city, to now say that we shouldn't have. So I'd recommend that you take part of your initiative to govern our city correctly by rejecting this call. We can have a Cinco de Mayo celebration without having a lot of alcohol with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak against this special events permit? Seeing none, I will close the floor at this time, and then we will open it up for the council for any final questions before we move out of the public hearing. Any last questions?
I don't have any.
Okay, do we have a motion to move out of the public hearing then?
So,
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn from the public hearing. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, at this time, we would need to discuss any council action on this special event permit. What would the council like to do?
I move to approve the special event permit and grant permission to host the beer garden on city-owned property during Cinco de Mayo.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any final questions?
I do have one question. Do you have a designated driver or 2 or 3 or whatever? Okay. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
they said that they did, for those who didn't hear that online. All right, so we have a motion, a second. We called the final question. So all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 2, a Sand and Sage Roundup Wild West Barbecue Committee request. This is to consider approval for the Sand and Sage Roundup to request overnight camping for the barbecue cook-off teams on Thursday, May 9th through Saturday, May 11th at Willow Creek Park. If you could come up, please, Diana, that would be great.
I know, I was being shy.
And you'll have to state your name for the record.
Okay, I'm Diane Poole from the Sand and Sage Roundup and the Wild West Barbecue Cook-Off, which is been held now this will be our 20th year, which is, we've got some prizes for some of the teams and stuff, special things to go on. But we just need to request overnight camping in the park on Thursday. Some teams come in on Thursday night, and then it'll be Friday night and Saturday. Some of them stay.
And last year, we designated on the east side of the park along First Street, is that correct? Or was there a certain area?
Yeah, no. It was on the east side that we allowed everybody to line up.
So that'll remain the same?
Yeah, and then they line up down in the lower part, down by the skate park too.
Okay.
Yes.
We have 36 teams hopefully coming.
You think all of them will be there the day before?
I hope.
Okay.
Good.
All right, council, do you have any questions for our?
Not necessarily related to the overnight camping, but do they have enough power when they're out there? Has that been any problems with them?
It's never enough, but it's, we limit the power to the street because you guys graciously put in power along the street on the east side years ago, and we limit it to that. They always want more, and as it has progressed, their rigs get a lot bigger too. So some of them will use generators.
I just didn't know if that was something that, considered.
We've had a couple people come request for upgrades, and if they're willing to give us money, I think we've worked out to where we can get that to happen, but I don't think that's something we budgeted for.
Yeah, there's a couple of vendors that have requested to like have 220 and stuff, and I just told them it was kind of asking a lot of,
It's just
carry your generator.
All right, any other questions for our guest? So Kyle, have you, as a police chief, have you seen any issues with this in the past?
No, I don't think we've ever had any issues in the 20 years I've been around, so this is always a good event, it's really quiet. I don't think we've ever had an issue over that.
It smells good in the park at this time, that's for sure.
I know, it is good.
Just want to make sure we do our due diligence and ask, so, all right.
And I just want to remind you guys that we will have our People's Choice that will sell sandwiches and stuff, so you can come and vote on the team that you want and buy some sandwiches and stuff.
Okay,
So there will be some to sample.
all right, great. Okay, thank you. Council, what would you like to do on this overnight camping request?
I move that we honor the request for the overnight camping for the Sand and Sage Barbecue Cook-Off.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Are you on the next one as well? So I guess you're gonna stay up.
Okay.
Or maybe.
Okay.
We have security contract. Actually, this
Okay.
is with the chief, so you should be good to go.
We can talk about it if you want.
Wow, yeah.
The next item on the agenda is security contract with Sand and Sage Roundup Fair Board for the Wild West Cook-Off that we just discussed. So this is with the city of Lamar Police
Right,
Department.
so this is for May 10th at 11 PM till May 11th at 7 AM. They're required to have security there for it to be a sanctioned event, so we're just gonna provide that security. It's one officer. The total contract will be for $360. The contract should be attached.
Okay. And this is our standard contract, Lance, so no changes. Okay.
And they've never called me, so I've never had to go in the middle of the night, so.
We can.
No, please don't.
Okay. All right, council, do we have a motion to approve the contract and allow the mayor to sign?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you, Kyle. You're still up again for the next one, which is the Colorado Pet Overpopulation Fund Grant. This item was initiated by Chief Miller and Trinda McGroom. This is to accept the grant. Would you like to speak on that?
Sure, so we requested $11,000 as part of the CPOF grant. We were awarded the $11,000, and this is just the acceptance of that and allowing electronic submission of the acceptance.
Okay. So this is for animal care, spay and neuter of animals at the animal shelter awaiting adoption. Is that
Correct. Yep.
just to make
Yeah,
sure?
we can only use this is only for animals that are in our care at the animal shelter.
Okay,
So we cannot use it for anything outside of that.
okay. Just making sure I had that clarified. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the grant award and allow electronic submission. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda, let's see, we do have another one, huh? We have them grouped together. The post grant. Huh?
So this is our post grant. Several years ago, the state mandated training. In order to help us meet those training hours, we are allowed to apply for grants. So this year, we're requesting $8,950.69 worth of equipment and training subscriptions. A big chunk of this is our daily training bulletins that we get through Lexipol. Then the other things are just miscellaneous equipment that we will use to help us. This year, it is an electronic signature that you use your mouse to sign it with. So I'm asking for permission to allow me to sign that grant, since we have the access to the portal. So that's what I'm asking for tonight.
Okay. So we would need a motion to allow the police department to apply for the grant and allow Chief Miller to sign the application and submit it electronically. Do you have
I
any-
move to let Chief Miller sign the grant electronically.
And to apply.
And what?
And to apply?
And to apply, sorry. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. All right, so moving on to agenda item number 6, which is the Porch to Plains update. Mike Duffy, our representative, had attended the Ports to Plains Conference in Washington DC. Unfortunately, he had some personal issues that came up tonight. He had a procedure done this morning and was a little off as far as the anesthesia still, so he thought it would be best to postpone this to the next meeting. Yeah, that's what I asked him. We still do a little. So Mike will be reporting at the next meeting if we can reschedule that in. Can you do that, Rob?
Yep, I'll get it there.
So we're going to skip agenda item number 6 and postpone that for the next meeting. Next item is agenda number 7, accept and proceed with the 2024 Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment Water Quality Control Division grant for lead service line identification project for the water and wastewater. This was initiated by Christian Schwartz and Tess Camp, as well as Pat Mason. It looks like Tess is here tonight to speak to us.
So this is kind of what you were talking about earlier. So we were awarded the $63,000, and this is to allow the city to become compliant with the EPA and CDPHE. We will identify lead service lines, and we will become compliant hopefully by the end of it. The match is $7,000, and at this point, we're ready to have you let us accept it.
Now, I don't think there's very many lead lines, but this would give an opportunity to search for them and verify.
Right.
So this grant identifies them. And then we were talking today, there's another funding source that we're going to look into to help do the actual potholing and digging into the lines. And so we're going to work on that too. So we'll be bringing that back to you too as soon as we get that identified. And as what I understood, did you understand there to be a match to that one?
No,
There
but
wasn't.
the number of lines they have to test, if you don't know for sure that they're like made after a certain point, they give you a certain amount of lines you have to test, and it's based off of how many are confirmed or not confirmed. So bottom line is, we are at a very low number, and I think it's less than 1,000 total tests that they'll have to do for,
Okay.
This provides the documents to submit for
I mean,
that.
it's 200. I think it's of the 1,000, we only have to do 200 tests. Either way, we're on the lowest, the lowest
Very
group.
low side. Well, that's why I was pointing it out. I know when we did the water main project across Main Street, we found some older lines that were very, very old, because we just have a lot of antiquated lines. But
Anytime we come across a repair that has the possibility of being lead, we always replace it. We always put it back in with PVC or some other material, so we have a very low number.
yeah,
And this includes all the way up to the dwelling?
Eventually, we will have to work out something. There's going to be a program, cities have programs for making sure that if we identify that there's lead in the line, we have to help them get money, grants, anything that has to be replaced if you find it.
if they find it on their residence or on their property. Is that right? Okay. Okay, but for this, we just need to accept the $63,000 grant from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, Water Quality Control Division, and proceed with the lead service identification project. So do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final questions? The only question I had was, did you have a chance to review this, Lance?
Yeah, I reviewed him, essentially, I suppose the terms in which we're applying for, or were applied for, were accepted, and so it's just a 7% or 10% match, which is the city's responsibility in that. So I don't have any issues with the language. Obviously, it's a federal grant, so it comes with different regulations and policies to follow, so other than that, I have no issue with it.
Okay. Any other questions before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you, Tess. Oh, yes, you're here again. Agenda item number 8 is the authorization to apply for the Title III-B grant for the Senior Center operations of the Lower Arkansas Valley Area Agency on Aging. As I said, it's initiated by Rob, Kristen, and Tess. So, Tess?
This is an annual grant that we apply for. It helps with operating. This year, I believe this might be the second time we tried. We're trying to get a manager over there full-time to help with events and stuff like that. So we're going to try that again, but we're hopeful. This is something how many years have you done this?
This is the second year.
Second year.
Yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
And we're going to go big again and try to get both the janitorial and the manager position. We visited with Rob, and so we submitted basically the same application last year. We raised up the amounts this year because of the raises for the city staff. And we're going to try again. Last year, we were awarded $25,589 out of our large request. But so we're going to try again and see what we get. So it'll help offset the cost for the seniors.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
So are you in discussions with them? I mean, so last year, I'm assuming that you did have discussions concerning.
Yes, and, sometimes people promise big, and then they have things that affect their ability to give a certain amount of money available as well. And they've told us that we have a good chance. So we're hopeful. That's why we're.
And things have been pretty smooth over there as far as the management. I know you don't have a manager there, but as far as
covering we've had an additional agreement to our janitor to be able to help services over there with Sage. And so, yes, it's we work with the senior center as far as special times when opening or closing. And if sometimes she has to be gone, we let one of our other guys go over there and open or close for them.
Okay. All right, council? Any other questions? Seeing none, I would need a motion to authorize the staff to apply for the Title IIIB grant through LAVA.
Make a motion to authorize staff to apply for the Title IIIB grant through LAVAAA.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay.
Thank you, Tess.
Thank you, Tess. Agenda item number 9 is to award bid 44-004 for financing of the 2024 Ford F-150 for the Animal Control Department. This is initiated by Kristen Schwartz, so I will pass it on to Kristen.
Thank you. This was a budgeted item that we were to purchase an animal control pickup. So we went out for bid for financing of that pickup. We advertised in the local paper on February 22nd. We accepted proposals until 5 p.m. on March 12th. We received 3 proposals from all of the local banks. We held the bid opening on March 13th, and all the bids were acknowledged and accepted. We went through, staff looked through the bids. It's based strictly on their interest rate. So we are recommending that we award the financing bid to GN Bank that had the lowest overall interest rate and allow the mayor to sign the lease agreement. I did get that approved by the attorney this afternoon, and it's laying on your desk. And so also allow the mayor to sign the lease agreement as well.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. That is to recommend the award for the financing as recommended?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that correct on your second? Yes. Okay, we have the motion and a second. Any final questions?
That includes the signing of the contract as well, lease agreement.
Yes.
David, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you have a chance to review this?
I did. Let Chris know it looked good. It's the standard lease agreement that we use in most of these types of agreements. So we're like rent-to-own situation as well as paid off, and then title gets transferred to the city.
Okay. All right, we have the motion, we have the second review of the city attorney. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you. Next item is the award bid 44-005 for financing of the 2024 Ford F-150 Command Vehicle for the fire department. Similar to this was with Kristen. I'll let you speak on this one as well.
Thank you. It was also a budgeted item to replace the, one of the command vehicles for the fire department. We advertised in the local paper, and bids were mailed out February 29th. We accepted bids until 5 PM on March 19th, when we received actually four proposals on this one. There was a typo in the bid, the commentary. I apologize, that's my fault. We received one from New York, so that was kind of odd. So we held the bid opening on March 20th. All four bids were accepted. And again, we're recommending that you award the bid to GN Bank, who had the lowest interest rate, and allow the mayor to sign the lease agreement, which the city attorney has approved, and proceed with purchasing the vehicle.
Okay.
I move that we award it to GN Bank and have the mayor sign it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. She's already stated that the attorney has approved it. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is professional services agreement with SoCo Medical Direction PLLC. This is initiated by Chief Burkhardt, so I will turn it over to him to discuss.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So with our recent rearrangement and medical direction in southeastern Colorado, Dr. DeWall is stepping up as a regional medical director and will cover more of a regionalized setting. And Dr. Mandrell has submitted us a professional services agreement to become our individual medical director, our doctor that we operate under. It'll be for $6,000 annually. Lance had it split up into quarterly payments, I believe, correct?
That's how the medical doctor that we used in the past wanted it, so I left that in there.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, and that's what we had Lance review the contract, and Dr. Mandrell emailed it back last night, signed, and I got a copy to Linda. We'll be getting a better copy if council so moves to have the mayor approve.
And that was printed and left on the desk for you, is that correct, for the council members? So you all have a copy of that agreement?
So and essentially, there was an initial contract that was proposed, but in reviewing that, it didn't have as many specifics as the old contract that we used before, and so we essentially used that old form contract because it had more specifics on the service they would provide. We did obviously update the information to be in compliance with the new terms of this one, and some of the language from the original contract or the proposed contract were used in this contract. So it's kind of a mix between the two contracts that we have used or had seen.
All right. It's the council's pleasure.
I move to have Kirk, the mayor, sign the contract with professional service agreement with SoCo Medical Direction PLLC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to allow the mayor to sign all necessary paperwork with SoCo Medical Direction PLLC. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Very much.
Thank you.
Sneaking out.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is agenda number 12, Lamar Main Street Beautification Project, painting Main Street light poles, wooden benches, and trash cans. This is brought in by Martha Baird Alvarez, our Main Street manager. Martha?
Good evening. So a couple months ago, I came with a request to expand our downtown speaker system using the DOLA mini grant funds that we have for our Main Street program. And so I am back with another request for another project. So the LPI board would like your blessing in repainting Main Street light poles, the wooden benches, and trash cans in the Main Street district. So the scope of work includes sandblasting, priming, and painting the light poles, as well as varnishing and painting wooden trash cans and benches as needed. And so we got 3 bids, and that was included in your packet. One was from Royalty Construction, the other one was from Fresh Paint Colorado, and the other one was from New Image Restoration from Syracuse, Kansas. And so the lowest bid came out to be $27,500, and that's the bid that the board chose. And so...
Now, on the wooden benches and the trash cans, are you painting them a color or just staining them type?
Just staining them.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
and
wanna
then
make
any
sure.
fixes that are needed on there.
Okay.
So,
And then on the light poles, I have to ask, what color are they painting them again?
the same color,
Same colors,
the
okay.
charcoal.
Bright pink.
Well, we had somebody do a bright red one year and
Had to repaint them.
it was kind of a shock for everybody. So
Yeah.
I just thought I'd ask beforehand.
Yeah, same color.
The light poles are getting stripped to metal as well, so that the paint adheres better.
Yeah,
Okay.
that way you
That
can,
quote includes that for those 94 light poles? It was 94?
and for
Oh,
like,
the packet didn't include the bids, but I had Martha send them to me.
Oh.
And reviewed them, and I had agreed with them. And I asked them for any future projects going forward, since the money is the city's grant, that they run it through the bid process as we do anybody else, because we didn't advertise or go out like we normally do for the size of our projects. So, but I do agree with the decision that the board made, but I just asked that next year that they, in the new grant, that they bring those projects and we go through the city bidding process. It stays consistent.
absolutely.
And they work.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
You made mention of the speakers. What's the progress on?
Oh, they're up and running, and yeah, they play 7 days a week. And we adjusted the times on the weekends to be a little bit different than weekdays, but it's pretty consistent. Melanie helps out with the playlists and kind of monitoring it too, so we all doing a good job trying to manage that, so.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve and allow the mayor, or allow them to sign the mini grant proposal?
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is item number 13. This is pending in-kind assistant requests. This was initiated by Rob Evans, the city administrator. This is mainly for discussion and giving direction to staff. Rob, I'll let you take over.
So in our daily, work that we have with entities that come in and do requests, we've worked a lot with the school district on putting up they're doing their work on putting up their new stadium, and it's going to affect one of our city roads, 14. We had several discussions, semi-planning and possibilities, think tank, and I know Dr. Krug's here. Were you prepared to say anything, or are you just going to answer questions if they have some? Okay. So there's not a specific number that we've tied down for sure, because one of the possibilities was we would trade some work that we can do cheaper than other people for them, and they would later consider doing that improvement on 14. So possibly improving the road, adding some parking there as well. So if you have any questions on it, we don't have the number here. We're just saying that we believe that there will be a request soon for in-kind. We'll get our money back or more in this type of transaction, but we're trying to help them out as well. And it's a timing issue, as far as we can do it quicker than their contracts would be, so.
I know there's been some discussion. We had a discussion about it a few weeks ago as far as the concern on 14th Street. We've had individuals from the area contact us with concerns about parking and traffic in there. And at first, I kind of wondered about the relevance of those concerns. But then when I actually attended the groundbreaking ceremony, you could see how much of a difficulty it was just with that small amount at the groundbreaking. So I'm not sure how many we'll have at an actual game, but if it was that, it was just very tight, very, how would we manage that parking along 14th Street, and similar to what we were struggling with in the past along the Savage Stadium. So
in the past, some of the in-kind requests from some entities have been, they're not going to be doing something, trading us for it. I believe we're going to get our value out of this type of request when it comes up, because we'll be doing some work that we would have had to do anyway for this type of situation. So I believe that we can be good partners with them and help them out, and then they can help us out.
Okay, so I guess since Dr. Krug's here, can you address some of those parking concerns, if you wouldn't mind, or? No.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council.
Okay.
Superintendent of Schools, Chad Krug, pleasure to be here. Well, there's a lot going on, right? Because like you mentioned on the groundbreaking, there was absolutely no actual parking.
Right, and you'll have a parking lot in the future, so
there'll
that'll
be
make a difference.
Correct, as well as there'll be a sidewalk that runs along the south side of the high school that will then feed into the stadium complex, so we can still use the existing parking lot that's in front of the high school for like overflow. As anticipated, people will always find the shortest route to the entry. And so it's in that spirit that we recognize 14th Street deserves a chance to be appropriately designed for parking. And so that's absolutely where the partnership kind of came to fruition, where the idea of we need to be prepared for what we can anticipate being off-street parking, or on-street parking, excuse me.
Okay. And I know you'll have to have some area there for, I didn't know if it would be easier to assign that for specific, like ambulance or any of the services that along 14th, just to minimize some of that battle for the best parking, so to speak, and encourage them to go to the different parking lots.
Right, so there will be a good amount of parking, way more than we have currently right at our Thunder Stadium, current stadium. Let's talk about track for a second, kind of pivot our minds. When we have track, we just hosted a track meet on Saturday. We had about 30 teams, which means about 30 school buses. I can see 14th Street being the perfect spot for parking on that opposite side, not on the side, excuse me, be on the east side of 14th Street, right? That would be like a perfect location for buses, kind of naturally creating that, not block, but that naturally creating a good space for buses to park.
Okay. And the reason why I'm asking that is because I've been approached with those questions with concerned citizens in the area, which rightfully so, that's where they've lived for many years, and this is going to be a phenomenal change from what they're used to as far as the events and the activity and the traffic and concerns there. So I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to address it on a public forum to answer those questions. So, Council, do you have any other questions for Dr. Krug before we?
Does it include any of the other side streets that go west right there? I mean, I'm just, the condition of not just 14th, but then any of those other side streets. Obviously, people are going to park when there's an event. Like you said, they're going to look for, what's the closest place for me to go? And so any of those areas are likely to be utilized as, let me park here.
Well, and I don't know if it's up to the school district to fix those kind of issues, but it is, I guess I'm asking this question because it would be beneficial if they could help to minimize the available parking or minimize the parking use for those side streets. So I guess I wanted to clarify that. We're not asking you to fix our streets, but at the same time, we're asking not to add a ton of additional
pain points?
Yeah, pain points on top of that, because we'll have to cover that as well. So do you want to Did you have any comments on manuals?
No, some of this is hard to anticipate, right? We can, like you mentioned, we can anticipate some human behaviors, but we have to remind ourselves, we will have a large amount of on-facility parking available for attendees. And then with that spillover coming from the other side, the intention is that the front lot may be, future use would be for visiting teams to park in that area. But you can't pull that off the first time around, right? This kind of creates a new pattern like everything else does, where how will people enter, how will they exit? So there's a lot of, not unknowns, but there's a lot of questions about how will people choose to park.
All right. And then what is the specific request on the in-kind portion for the city?
For this one, we don't have a specific request on a dollar amount exactly. So they're still doing their work on us.
Did we get a dollar amount from?
Yes, we did. Pat? Sorry.
On what our cost would be?
Yeah.
Oh,
on what the
okay.
total-
On what their cost would be, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that was
We know
good.
how much it would cost for us to do it.
Okay, so in this, we would be doing 14th Street improvements, is that right?
No, this in-kind would be to help the school district pave their parking lot and their driveways in the stadium area.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that, Pat estimated that value at about $103,000 without asphalt, which adds another easily $183,000 onto the project. So the school district has a significant investment in asphalt in that stadium area. And our hope is that frees up about $100,000 to help us with 14th Street improvements.
Okay. So we're looking at sharing the cost of, were you looking at paying asphalt and we do the labor? Is that what it was?
That's correct.
Okay, okay. All right, okay. Did you have any other questions for Dr. Krug before we move on? Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, she was asking me the question, so I was like.
No.
So that's kind of what we're looking at is about 108,000 in in-kind work, and then they're gonna do the asphalt for about
14.
100 for 14th or for all of it?
We're gonna trade us doing some labor for them to do some work on 14th for us. So we'll do the labor with them if they pay for the asphalt on their parking lot.
For 100.
Later on, they're gonna do the 14th, that amount, a trade-off on improvements for 14th.
About 100 in improvements on 14th.
At least, whatever they're saving on it.
Does that sound about right, or?
Yes, I just want to point out one quick thing, and that's exactly right. And it's through that spirit that we're going to know more about our needs on 14th Street, which is part of the reason that this is a kind of just the right timing of a lot of things. Like some of the questions that we don't know yet until we know, and when we know, then we'll do it right on 14th.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that's what we got on the Lamar School District one. Do we want to get direction on that first, or do we want to cover the other one first?
The McClave one?
Yeah. I guess, do you want to conclude this discussion and then go on to the next one?
Yeah, you can conclude this one, and we can do the other one, because the other one it's a different situation. It's not the same.
So council, it kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at. We're going to be basically doing the in-kind work of the labor to lay the asphalt. They will pay for the asphalt for the school, for the parking lots. Once that's completed, in the future, they will assist us with the improvements on 14th Street for approximately the same value, but we're looking at finding out what those needs are on 14th Street before we can do those improvements. Does that sound like a good summary? Okay. All right. Any questions from the council on that, or?
I'm sure all this will be reviewed by Lance and.
And we do anticipate an agreement between us being signed that So
Is that something the council wants to direct Rob to proceed, or do you want to do any modifications on that idea? So the 103,000 that we were talking about that she was mentioning from Pat is the in-kind work. That's the value of the in-kind work. So it's not something we needed to, well, it's coming out of budgets as far as employee budgets, but it is still
employee and equipment that we normally would.
Okay. So council, what would you like to do? Just give them direction? Proceed,
Continue.
or?
Continue.
Negotiations.
Yeah, give us, like I said, something that's written with a little more specifics for it. This is,
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, all right, so we'll proceed with that, getting the details worked out and finalizing it, but I think the general consensus is the idea of sharing that cost over time and then seeing what we need on the 14th Street after it goes. Okay. All right, so the next item was along that same lines is McClave State Bank for in-kind work.
So they've requested a number for us to help with them so they could turn their parking lot into an exit, I believe.
So they're needing a drive-through, the alleyway to be
Drive-through.
paved so they can do an alley or a drive-through, is that right?
That's correct. Let me get to the right.
That's what I understood it as, was they're needing to have a paved alleyway for the drive-through windows.
So, in the past, when people have asked for in-kind, we've refrained from doing something just for somebody because everybody will come to request. I know that it's gonna be beneficial for traffic and would be helpful, but I wanted to come to you guys for this as a request because we've done stuff for Sparrow House and we've done stuff for other people, but I don't know. Those are, C3s, and I needed some guidance and some help on this one because I know that this is not something can say, oh yeah, that can come out of our budget or anything like that.
So who is working with them directly on the application or the request? Anne Marie? So you are? Okay. So the reason why I was asking is I'm kind of curious. Of course, it's a new business in Lamar, so that's always welcome. We want to encourage new business opportunity, new businesses, new developments in the city limits. So we don't want to discourage that by any means. And I can understand, we're looking at $3,800 for labor and equipment. They're going to be responsible for purchasing the road base and the asphalt. We're just doing the in-kind work. Is that right?
Correct. When Pat quoted out the Lamar School District quote, he relooked at what he had done for McClave State Bank, and he revalued that as $5,157 instead of the $3,800 worth of in-kind.
Okay.
So that's
$5,157.
Yes, that is an updated amount. McClave State Bank applied for our common business incentive application to receive assistance where possible. That's not in the urban renewal, and we don't really have many other options for that business to help them, and they have come up with significant mounting costs on the project, so they asked for our help.
So do you have an estimated value of their overall development project? Is it like 2 million, 1 million, 5 million? No estimate?
Yes, it was in the overall application that they submitted. I just don't have it handy.
Okay. No guesstimate?
Martha can just look.
Martha's looking it up? Okay. All right, any other questions from the council while she looks that up? I know we've tried to, and this one is different because it is on the alleyway. We really haven't done much work for people on alleyways, right? I know we've placed down in different alleyways throughout the city, we've placed chips
We've knocked down curbs. Those are easy for people who are in the middle of renovations and, you know, had old parking lots and things like that. Those, some things are easy when they're out front. Alleyways are a little bit.
Yeah. And if this was to, I know it's in kind work, but there will be some budgeting.
Somebody's paying for it,
question.
yeah.
Somebody's paying for it.
The guys do a really good job getting turned into me, their hours, and we keep track of all of that
Okay, so we have some.
based on our fee schedule.
Okay. All right. Will we be able to find that within the budget for streets?
You know, that's going to be Rob and Pat's call, I would imagine, because it's, you know, time into their busy season. And
That would have been my bigger
Distraction.
concern. I think the money is not the biggest problem.
it's time.
It's our time.
Yeah. What time frame are they looking at?
Pat likes to do this kind of thing in a day, like get everybody all, and instead of taking, but he has to get a full day where he schedules it out, and if he knows he's gonna do it, he can knock it out.
Okay.
I'm not used to speaking for him, but we've talked about this several times, and he doesn't like to piecemeal.
Okay. Did you find anything, Anne Marie?
We recall that it's over $1 million.
Over $1 million? Okay.
Where's this located?
Just east of Love's on Olive Street, Second and Olive. There's a blank lot right next to Love's.
on
On Olives. Across from Kinrose or.
The lights there.
So we're looking at about a half percent of the value, maybe? About a 0.5%. As far as an incentive of a 0.5%, I guess. So is that something that you would want to consider as an incentive towards a $1 million project? And, you know, generally we've gone up to 10%, 20%, so doing.
It's just a half.
A 0.5%. In value. I think the big thing would be that we would need to accommodate Pat in his schedule, not the developer in theirs. That would be the main thing, just because we're trying to do it within our time frame. But
Pat said he could work it into their schedule.
he could. Well, council, Rob, do you have any specific thoughts on it other than?
Well, we had, in the past, had special projects funds set aside, and so, I haven't gone and dug in with her to say, do we have the money left? I just know that $5,000 is one of those that we usually would have approved for in the past.
And we have that, we have it set aside for streets, and then also we have it in a couple different places.
So
for
yes,
development.
we
So
can do
yes,
it.
we have the money, and I'd forgotten about it.
I did want to say that the minute you do this, if it's something outside of URA help and you start, everybody is going to say, I want that help as well.
And at a 0.5% incentive, I don't know how much risk we would be at with
No.
0.5%. I mean, if it's a $5 million project, then we're looking at.
The city could fund their own type of URA.
Yeah.
Instead of,
Right.
so they could do something outside of that area. Anything outside of the area would be URA, whatever. But I just wanted you to know that once you start saying that you'll help one outside of it, then there've been several we've told no.
Right, on parking lots and.
When we have done sidewalks, curb and gutter, and out of these funds that we started budgeting for 4 years ago.
And this would be an alleyway.
Because it was in
on a new
addition to
build.
URA.
Yeah,
About
I do understand the precedent issue, so, yeah. Well, council, do you have any thoughts?
You said it was more than that, Anne Marie? 1.4 million.
1.4 million?
So this isn't a voting item, right? It's just a.
Direction?
No, just direction.
Yeah.
We've done these type of things before for a couple of other organizations, and I think that it's well within my budget to do these type of things. I just didn't want to do it, and you guys say, hey, look, you're setting a precedent, you didn't talk to us.
Right.
I can get this handled, I just didn't want to do it without you guys.
Yeah.
good discussion.
Yeah. So do we want to proceed with trying to formalize something on this
I
and?
would say yes. I think, it's
Brent?
0.1%. Yeah.
David?
Yes, I would.
Gary? So just getting the next steps and seeing what we need to do next.
I will.
Direction-wise, okay? So we have direction on both of those items, so. All right, any other discussion on that topic? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 14. Variance regarding lot size for replat of 600 South 2nd Street and 308 East Pearl Street. This is initiated by Stephanie Strube. Stephanie?
Evening. So the first one, agenda item 14, is for a variance regarding the lot size for a replat of 600 South 2nd Street and 308 East Pearl Street. LAI Design Group, working for Grover Management, along with Doug Thrall, submitted an application to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a variance of a lot size. There was a work session held, and Planning and Zoning met on January 16th as well, and the purpose of the reduced lot size is for the possible conversion of apartments to townhomes. There would be a total of 10 homes ranging in price from $140,000 to $150,000. After meeting on it, since this is strictly for a variance for the lot size, Planning and Zoning has made to approve the variance for the reduced lot size and would like to recommend council approve the request for a variance in lot size requirements from the current Lamar Municipal Code, Section 30-692, or such other action as council may direct.
Okay. Any questions for Stephanie?
I guess, is it necessary to rezone?
It's not rezoning, but it's changing our Lamar Municipal Code because there is a lot size requirement. So in order for those to become townhomes with their own personal piece of property, it would not meet that code without a variance for a reduced lot size.
So this is for the variance for the reduced lot size?
Correct.
To allow the reduced lot size?
That's correct.
So in the event that we approve the variance and they don't turn into townhomes, what happens?
Well, the next step after the variance is to actually do a replat of the property and then to submit that to council and have it filed. So there's still that next step of platting it. So because we're accepting that we're saying, yes, we can have a variance and move forward with the process of turning them to townhomes, it hasn't reached that final step of the replat. That's when it would actually.
The replat happens at what point? I mean, so
At the
so
end.
we're in the middle, say we say, yes, this is okay. And then, after we do that, next week, someone says, you know what, we changed our mind, we're not gonna do that anymore.
Right.
Then what happens?
Well, until it's actually filed, replatted and filed through the county, it just stays as it is.
Okay. Any other questions? Did that answer your question?
It did.
Okay. Any other questions? So do we have a motion?
I move to approve the request for the variance of the lot sizes.
I'll second.
That meet the requirements? Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
We have a split vote with Councilmember Bates, Mayor Crespin, Councilmember Jenkins, Councilmember Mata, Councilmember Zavala voting yes, and Councilmember Temez voting no.
All right, so next item on the agenda is variance regarding lot size for replat of the 208, 209 East Walnut Street, 900, 902, 904, 906 South 3rd Street. This is also Stephanie Strube?
Correct. So the background is the same. It is the LAI Design Group working for Grover Management along with Doug Thrall, submitted an application for a variance of the lot size. Again, these will be a conversion of apartments to townhomes. Attached was a letter from Planning and Zoning. A motion was made to approve the variance for the reduced lot size at 208, 209 East Walnut Street and 900 through 902, 904 through 906 South 3rd Street. Planning and Zoning would like to recommend council approve the request for a variance in lot size requirements from the current Lamar Municipal Code, Section 30-692, or such other action as council may direct.
So this is basically a duplicate of the other, just on a different property.
That is
owned by the
correct.
same group.
That is correct. And I believe there are 6 units on this one.
Okay? Any questions from the council? Seeing none, do we have any motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Again, we have a split vote with Councilmembers Bates, Mayor Crespin, Councilmember Jenkins, Councilmember Mata, Councilmember Zavala voting yes, Councilmember Temez voting no.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items, it looks like. Is that correct? We do have one item for the miscellaneous that we were going to ask Colby if he could come up and speak for a minute. Colby Brubaker was part of an event this past weekend. He'd like to speak on it.
So, thank you guys. Good evening, council. I apologize for not taking the opportunity in the beginning of the thing. I was focused on trying to do the Cinco de Mayo event, but this past weekend we hosted the first Seco all-senior all-star games for basketball players for seniors here in Southeast Colorado. Myself, Tindon Marquez, and Tragan Marquez have been working on this event for probably the past almost year. We wanted to just bring a fun event for the community as well as fundraise for scholarships for our senior athletes. I am proud to share that we did shell out $3,000 total in scholarships to 4 student athletes, as well as give various prizes for like dunk contest, 3-point contest, as well as like our MVPs of the game. I think we had about, from our gate, I think it was about 500 to 600 attendees for that event. We had about 50 athletes in attendance as well. We hope to build off of this event for next year. We had a lot of really positive feedback. Tim and Tragan and myself have a debrief meeting this week on Wednesday, as well as bringing in like refs, different volunteers that we had to kind of help debrief with us as well, so we can kind of see how we can revise this event as well as expand it in the future. I do want to publicly thank all of our volunteers. Lamar Chamber of Commerce helped with volunteers for the gate and stuff like that, and roaming in the hallways, as well as all of our referees donating their time. I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but like our scorekeeper, the announcer and stuff like that. I just want to thank everyone who donated their time, and thank you for the community building for hosting us.
How far was it promoted?
We went all the way from down to Kim Branson, over to Walsh, all the way up to Shine Wells, and all the way over to Sherraw. We had 13 schools that we invited, and we made sure each boy and girl from all 13 schools were represented on each team. The only one that was not fully represented was Walsh, just because they had no senior girls. But we've also hoped to expand the games next year to possibly a few more schools, as well as we've even talked about having like a futures game where we can get our 9th through 11th graders involved as well. And then just adding some more games just to make it more interactive with the crowd and such like that.
Great. I heard it was a great event, so congratulations.
It was well attended. We were anxious and nervous how it was going to go, but our hard work paid off, and yeah, it was a good event. So thank you.
Great.
Good job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any other miscellaneous items that we want to discuss before we close out? Trevor, did you have something that you wanted to talk about, or?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, I just saw you in the audience. I thought I'd check. Okay. Thank you for coming tonight. Okay, so the next item on the agenda then would be our executive session. We do have two different executive sessions. One is for discussion with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding a property issue within the city of Lamar under CRS 246402 subsection 4 subsection B. And the other one is for discussion of personnel matters, including evaluations of senior staff under CRS 246402 subsection 4 subsection F. These two executive sessions will take place. There will be no decisions made outside of the executive sessions at the end of it. So we will immediately adjourn after those executive sessions have concluded. So no need to stay and wait is what I'm trying to say. But that would be the next item on the agenda. Do we have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, we will be moving into executive session. Like I said, there'll be no other decisions afterwards, and we'll adjourn immediately after. Our next meeting is Monday, April 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. I hope to see you there. Thank you for joining us.